Hello and welcome to your video on relationships, which we are going to call cause and effect. So there are different types of relationships that two variables can have. Just because they show a correlation doesn't mean that there should be a correlation. So I have a bunch of examples. Hypothetical studies were conducted and found the following relationships. So the first example, the x value is the height a ball is dropped from, and the y value is its rebound height. So in an example like this, a change in x will produce a change in y. If you increase the height the ball is dropped from, you will increase the rebound height. If you decrease the height the ball is dropped from, you will decrease the rebound height. So this is a cause and effect relationship. Cause and effect, you have to be careful, is that x will cause y to change. If there's a change in x and a change in y, it doesn't mean it's a cause and effect. The x has to be the reason why the y changes. So if we take a look at this example, a farmer saw that there was a relationship between the size of a corn harvest and the size of their apple harvest. So this is not a cause and effect. A bigger corn harvest does not cause the apple harvest to be bigger. What this is called is a common cause relationship. So what's happening is an external, or you might call it a hidden, or you might call it a lurking, and some people just call it a Z variable. So some sort of external variable is causing these two variables to change in the same way. So that could be weather, soil conditions, location, things like that. So those could be the Z variable. And what could happen is that it's these variables that might be causing the Y value to happen, not the X value. So it's almost like you should have had two separate scatter plots, one with the Z, and then comparing the Z to the X and Y. So to determine the effect of an external variable, researchers often use what are called control groups. So with control groups, the two groups are studied, one with the extraneous variable removed. So as an example, let's say that you were doing a study on a medicine and you were wondering if the medicine actually worked. So you were trying to find if taking the medicine had an effect on a decrease in migraines. What they would do is they would use a placebo, which is a fake pill. So one group, group 1 would take the medicine, group 2 would take the placebo, and when I say fake, I mean it's fake medicine. So it's really just a pill that they call a sugar pill. And what they do is they see if you see the results. And they want to see if they get the same results. So if the results are equal, then that means the medicine didn't have an effect. And if the results were different, then you can say that the medicine had an effect. And in this case, the Z variable that you're looking for is basically your psychological feeling or anticipation that the drug is going to work. So this happens quite a bit when they are researching medicine. So this is an example of a control group. Is one group has the psychological feeling tested because that's when they get the placebo, which means they're not actually getting any medicine. So if the people getting the placebo had less migraines, then it's showing that the medicine may not have had so much of an effect as the psychological feeling that you were taking medicine. The next relationship is if you saw that the number of traffic jams had a relationship with the number of car accidents, what you might find is that this is a reverse cause and effect. So the original thought is a change in X results in a change in Y, but the opposite is more likely. So it's more likely that the number of car accidents should be the independent variable, or the X variable, and the number of traffic jams should be the dependent, or Y variable. So it's more likely that car accidents cause traffic jams. Now it's possible that traffic jams cause car accidents, but it's more likely that car accidents cause traffic jams. The next one's a fairly easy one. If you found that the number of babies born had a relationship with the number of computers being repaired, that is probably just an accidental relationship, which means it is a fluke that these two variables have a correlation. In the last one, you found that the temperature outside had a correlation with the number of children playing outside. Now, if the temperature changes, it doesn't necessarily cause children to play outside. It makes sense that there's a relationship, but you can't really say that changing the temperature will force children to go to play outside. So this is what we call presumed. So this is where you have to be very careful. Cause and effect relationships means the change in X will force a change in Y. The Y has to change. But if the temperature changes, children don't have to go outside to play. So it makes sense that there's a relationship. So that's why we call it presumed. So the correlation seems to exist, but doesn't seem accidental, and it is difficult to determine a cause and effect or a common cause factor. So on the next page, there are some examples, and what I want you to do is to identify the type of causal relationship, identify any extraneous variables where applicable. So with all of these, decide if it's cause and effect, common cause, reverse cause and effect, accidental, or presumed. Please note that there could be more than one answer for each, It's really more about how you explain yourself than what your answer is. So press pause on the video, try each of these to determine which type of relationship these are, and then come back to the video to check your answers. So press pause now, please. Okay, welcome back. Just remember that some of your answers could be different than mine. It's really just how you justify them. So the number of years driving versus the number of car accidents, I said was presumed because if you drive more, it doesn't cause you to have more or less accidents. It's just if you have more driving, you have more experience, so you may have less car accidents, but it's not cause and effect. Driving more does not cause you to have more or less accidents. So the next one was accidental, your height versus your absences from school. I did have one person say that this was presumed or cause and effect because if they were taller, they were more likely to be on the basketball team, and if they were on the basketball team, they were more likely to be absent from school. I gave them the mark for that because at least they demonstrated that that made sense. Vehicle weight versus fuel consumption is cause and effect because a heavier vehicle will cause more fuel consumption. Number of years attending school versus age, I said was reverse cause and effect because it's more likely that, well, it's not more likely, your age is what's causing how many years you've attended school. Your mark in data min and your mark in advanced functions, I said was common cause because it depends on your ability in math. It also depends on your work habits. Those would be your external variables. The length of your foot versus your eyesight, I said was accidental. Time spent exercising versus calories burned, cause and effect, because if you exercise more, it will cause you to burn more calories. Minutes playing in a basketball game versus points scored. It could be presumed because the more you play, the more opportunities you have to score points. Some people might say it's reverse because if you score more points, the coach is more likely to play you. So that one's got a couple possible answers. Number of hot dogs sold versus profit is cause and effect. If you sell more hot dogs, you will make more profit. Hours spent practicing at a golf driving range versus their golf drive distance. Some people might argue that that is cause and effect, but others might argue that just because you practice doesn't mean you will get better. It's presumed that you will, but it doesn't necessarily mean you will. So this one I said income versus number of CDs purchased, but I guess you guys nowadays, it's more likely MP3s downloaded. That one could be considered presumed because if you have more income, you have more money that you can spend on downloading MP3s. So those were the answers I got. Again, your answers could be different. It's more how you justify your answer than what you choose your answer to be. So if there was anything you didn't understand, please make note of it and ask your teacher during the next day. Thank you.